How long, O Lord, will I cry out to be saved, and you do not hear? How long, O Lord, will I cry violence, and you do not act? Those are the words of Habakkuk, a real prophet of God in the Old Testament. Habakkuk, whose name means to be embraced. And it was so interesting to find out where they think his name came from. Because in 2 Kings 4, there's a Shunammite woman, and Elisha goes to her house and passes by there a lot. And the Shunammite woman says, "What shall I do for this? What shall I do for this man? What shall I do?" And so what happens, she agrees and she makes a little bed and a place on her roof where Elisha can stay when he passes by. So Elisha is so appreciative and feels so good about it. He says to his servant, Gamiel, "What can I do to repay her? This is just a really nice place that she made for me when I'm going by." And Gamiel says, "Well, you know what? She doesn't have any children." And so Elisha talks to the woman and he says, "By this time next year, you shall be embracing a son." So the sages say that embrace, that Habakkuk means embrace, that Habakkuk is that exact son. And Habakkuk asks all these hard questions of God, just like I do, just like we all do. How long, O Lord, shall I cry out and you do not hear? How long shall I cry violence and you do not see? But Habakkuk just keeps asking these questions. He gets answers. He gets partial answers. Partial answers like it'll take time, that God will repay people for their violence. But at the end of the book, Habakkuk doesn't ask questions anymore. Habakkuk just praises God and he says, "But as for me, I will rejoice in the Lord of my salvation." I will just rejoice in God. I will, even if the fig tree doesn't blossom, if there's no grapes on the vine, if there's no sheep in the fold, if there's no cattle in the stall, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if these questions aren't answered. It doesn't matter what you say, O Lord. It doesn't matter. You don't have to answer me. You are a great God. And I will be like the gazelle that is up on high places, lofty places, just leaping in unimaginable places. Even though, that's what he said. And even though I have cancer, even though I have all this dark night stuff going on, that he says, and I agree with him, that I will just praise the God of my salvation, even though there's no figs on the tree, there's no grapes on the vine, there's no sheep in the fold, there's no cattle in the stall, that I will rejoice in the God of my salvation, and I will be like hinds feet on high places, praising God. And that's the conclusion of the book. That's the conclusion of the book, that he praises God even in the midst of all the troubles, even in the midst of the dark night. So do not fear the darkness. Do not fear the dark night of the soul. Do not fear it. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great. If you want to give this a like, that would be fine. And if you want to leave a comment, that would be wonderful. Do not fear the darkness. Be like hinds feet on high places. It doesn't matter if these questions are answered or only if they're answered partially, just like Habakkuk, to embrace. So Elisha said to the woman, "At this time next year, you will be embracing a son." And Habakkuk's name means to be embraced, to embrace. How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? Do not fear the darkness. Do not fear the darkness of life. And do not fear the dark night of the soul. Amen.